Hello party people, welcome back to the LEGO City. In the last few city updates, you've seen a lot of different things happening. We've seen the new modular being placed in the LEGO City, the new Natural History Museum. It is gorgeous. We've also added a custom Walmart Modular MOC. There's also a lot of Halloween elements left over from October, as well as a whole downtown shift. We've kind of rearranged everything over there. It's a good change for sure, but I'm still getting used to it. But in today's LEGO City update, I'm going to be showing you a bunch of things that you haven't seen yet. And this even includes some new LEGO City MOCs. One of the main things I wanted to work on in the LEGO City is the ocean. It's the first thing I see when I come into the room, and without the tile all being done, it just looks unfinished. And I would have kept working on it sooner and it would probably be done by now, honestly, except yeah, I didn't have the right pieces for it. I used to do my tiles in the ocean kind of like this, where all the tiles are just laid down flat on the blue base plate or blue plates. But then I switched over to a new technique where each of these little pieces here is a 1x2 trans tile placed onto a trans blue stud, and that's just placed right on the base plate there, but then you can kind of tilt that tile up to make this really cool ripply pattern. And I clearly still have a lot to fill in here, except that I was missing all of these trans blue studs. I have so many tiles, I'm just missing the studs, and so I placed an online pick-a-brick order. Or rather, my husband Ross placed an online pick-a-brick order, and I kindly requested to include 400 of those little trans blue studs, which he did, so thank you, Ross. He also included a bunch of gray and black slopes for the LEGO City for rock work or for roofs, which I'll show you later. And then there were also a lot of green tiles for his Minecraft MOCs. Now, when placing this online order, we thought that 400 studs would be enough for the ocean. However, that went by so incredibly fast, I couldn't believe there were actually 400 pieces. Another huge accomplishment this week was actually the hills just over here. If you've been keeping up with the LEGO City updates on this channel, you'll have noticed that I don't really show this area too often, and that's because up until very recently, this whole area was blank. Even back here, none of this was finished, and essentially the A-frame cabin was just setting on a cliff. I'm pretty sure these green pieces here are newly added, and this like brown part at the end of the A-frame cabin was just kind of hanging off the ledge. It was looking pretty bad, and I was avoiding showing this area because I just wasn't proud of it, and I had never gotten around to making it look more finished. But while I was hanging out with Ross in the city earlier this week, I decided to finally fill this all in. I was using a similar technique that I used for the rest of the hills with all of these L-shaped green plates, and they look really natural when trying to do landscaping in the city. In order for this to not be too parts intensive, I started adding some plates and supporting those with 2x2 bricks underneath them so that the whole area underneath the hills aren't just filled with bricks, because that would be very wasteful. I set the large plates on top and then just covered them with this darker color green. Along the edge here between the greenery and the rock wall, I did my best to blend them seamlessly and kind of have some of the green overlapping while some of the rocks are on the top. I just wanted a good mixture there so it looked kind of natural, kind of overgrown, and I might add some more of these pretty leafy pieces right there because I went to the LEGO store yesterday and I bought like 2 or 3 pad cups full. Those are some of my favorite pieces. I use them along the river as well. I need to continue lining the river with those leading up towards the waterfall. And speaking of the rock work, another thing that's been a long time coming in the LEGO City is this whole area over here. This is a nightmare, or it has been for a very long time, and you know, I guess it still is. But the plan over here is to move this rock wall that we've built and kind of like just chop it off there, but place it going this way instead. And then having like the train coming through, making the train go through like a tunnel on this side, a tunnel on the other side, and have some nice grassy rock work. Just make it a beautiful field / perfect location for the Disney train station. I love this set, and I've been wanting to find a way to include it in the LEGO City for a really long time. And so what we're planning on doing is placing it just about here. Now, something kind of funky in this area, let me know if you've already spotted it here. We're using DUPLO. We're using DUPLO bricks. We went to Bricks and Minifigs earlier this week and we bought a ton of it. Actually, it's over here on the floor next to my cane that I was using last month. It's in the laundry bag because we washed it all. We got it from the bulk table and we're using it to kind of just support this rock wall here. Building up a rock wall takes so many pieces. It is probably one of the most parts intensive things I have ever tried to do in the LEGO City. And so instead of using tons and tons of LEGO bricks to support the rock wall, we decided that DUPLO would be a better option. DUPLO is actually compatible with LEGO, which I wasn't aware of until about a year ago. Here's actually a really good example of it. You can see this giant brick under there. That's a DUPLO brick with LEGO on top of it. And you can kind of see here just how it connects. It's pretty weird, but you know, it is compatible, so we're going for it. This is all a task that Ross has started out doing, and then I'm gonna come through later and do more of like the refinement and do the rock wall part. He's just working on the support for now. And he was saying that it's actually really hard working with DUPLO when you're not used to it. I know it sounds absolutely crazy because DUPLO is for children, like small children, but it's just a totally different system, and he was saying it was kind of hard to get used to. So yeah, this little DUPLO section is actually a pretty big update in the city this week. It took a lot of planning and shopping to make this, start happening. And I know it doesn't look like much at this time, but hopefully by next city update, or even by the end of the month, we might even have a beautiful rock wall with like pretty tunnels and greenery. It'll look awesome. Or at least I hope it does. We'll see. And something a little bit less exciting, but still kind of important here, and I think it makes a big difference, is the Botanical Garden. For a while, this section here was all that I had tiled off, and I liked it, but after looking at it further, I'm kind of like, meh, like those jumpers are kind of ugly. Like I didn't realize that they were so ugly until I finished it, but yeah, I'm not too thrilled with it. So I continued to tile pattern back here yesterday, and I am so much happier with this. Like look how much better this is with all the minifigures on their little jumpers so that they're hidden away. You don't see too many jumpers here. It took a little bit of planning to like get the tiles underneath these larger tiles, like these little inglets, I think they're called. But I think it looks a lot more polished, a lot cleaner here. I just still need to go through and remove a lot of the jumpers there, but not all the jumpers, because over at the museum, they have some of the jumpers covered up with flowers. And I think that looks so nice. I think that's really pretty. So that's something that I'm kind of considering doing for the botanical gardens over here, just covering those jumpers up with some of these pink flowers. Stay tuned. That's definitely in the works. So now let's shift focus over to the downtown area a little bit more, because I've made a ton of progress in this area and I haven't really focused on it too much in recent videos. So in the middle here, recently when I added the Walmart Modular as well as the museum, we had decided to expand the downtown area a little bit to have this whole little region inside, and we were thinking about making it like a nice little park, maybe a dog park, maybe like a seating area, have some food stands, I don't know. But then we realized that we had a lot of sets kind of like this in our collection, tons of LEGO City, kind of skate park, bike park kind of stuff. And random kind of fun fact actually is I went to a Jonas Brothers concert recently. I was invited by their popcorn company, Rob's Backstage Popcorn, and I was in their family and friends section. Like I was hanging out with the Jonas Brothers nannies, their wives were all there. It was the craziest thing ever. I'm not sure how I got invited to this. At the concert venue, we were right next to their second stage, and they were like 4 feet away from me. Like they were standing right there. And I'm telling you all of this because I thought that in this area here, we could have like an outdoor skate park kind of situation, but also make it the Disney Channel games. Do y'all remember that from like the early 2000s? All the Disney Channel stars would get together and do field day together. It was pretty wild. And so here, kind of what we're working on is a Disney Channel games kind of setup with the 3 Jonas Brothers. This one over here is doing like the cone race kind of thing. It's still very much under construction. We literally started this yesterday, but I think it'll be kind of fun once it's put together. But then the other thing I want to show you is way back in this corner over here. When we expanded the downtown area to include the new modular, the Natural History Museum, we were like, okay, let's have the road going back this way. But I didn't want it to just be a same old kind of road grid system. Like I wanted to start adding more MOCs and custom builds here. It'll be a slow process. Plus we have so many city sets that I wanted to include. So we kind of, I don't even know if you want to call it modify, but we kind of just combined 2 of the new LEGO City sets to create this like giant modular-esque kind of build. These sets made it really easy to customize and move things around. Each of these pieces is modular and they come off. I'm kind of like nervous about moving it around too much because I will definitely break it. And like any city sets or even friend sets, the back is always open. So we did our best to kind of like hide that in. We still need to do something similar on this side, but stay tuned for another city update for that one. I just think these sets look really cool. They're just difficult to work with because of the open backing, but we have so many kind of similar sets like this back here that I just wanted to incorporate them. I think they're cool. But then looking down to the road plate here, we decided to make the road plate just going out this way towards whatever that's going to be. Currently we have 2 different Disney castles and the world of Ninjago going on, so I don't really know what we have planned yet. But I do know that I want to continue the city kind of going that way in some sort of a grid. You can kind of see it from here in a cardboard box down there. We have the Town Hall modular, and then under the LEGO City somewhere we also have Green Grocer. So we still do have some modulars to include. So I think that over there will be a good home for them. But we also wanted to try something a little bit different here, and because these new city sets come with bike lane pieces, we were like, why don't we have a bike lane here? So we had a little bit of fun with these purple masonry bricks. We went to the Lego store yesterday and bought a ton of them. And a few months ago, Ross came up with this really cool technique here where you just lay these masonry bricks, or I guess any bricks, sideways. And you can put like this neon strip on either side, or, you know, whatever you want to do there. We thought that the neon looked good for the bike lane, so that's what we went with. But it just seemed that the downtown area here was all the same texture for the roads, like it was very uniform. And so we wanted to mix it up and try something new here. And then I think over here we want to have like a place for you to put your bikes, like almost what you see in big cities where there's tons of bikes for rent. I want that to kind of be what that is there. So that's kind of what we've been up to in this corner here, and then the bike path will just go off that way at some point, but I am really happy with this. But now let's focus on some of the MOCs in the Lego City, because that's what's most exciting, I think, and me and Ross have been having so much fun working on this. So a few updates ago, we started on this like kind of Oktoberfest German brewery kind of build in the corner there. I love that it's set at an angle. I think that looks really nice, but when I had built it initially, I didn't put a roof on it. I was building this when I first hurt my leg, and it just was really difficult moving around, grabbing pieces, doing anything. But then Ross came through recently and built the roof for it. We can take a closer look from this side, but it is pretty cool. The roof comes off pretty easily. It's just this giant chunk of Lego that sits on top here. And there's the inside again for those who didn't see it in the previous update. There's some tables outside there with people hanging out, but I really do like how this turned out, so shout out to Ross for finishing my build for me. But then over this way, something that I wanted to improve upon was our old tennis court. I'm not sure if I actually have any footage of it from before. The old one had this kind of green color. I wanted our tennis court to be just super, super bright. I still need to find another piece for the other side of the net there, because that's just, you know, it's not the right piece. But I built this the other night and I think it looks pretty good. I might build a second one. We'll see. I just think it would be kind of fun to have like a sports complex here. So that's kind of the start to that. But then finally, Ross has also been working on a pretty good sized MOC back here. You can see the footprint of what it's going to look like all on the blue plates there. He said that he wanted to build a MOC for the city, and this is actually a place in Austin that we've been to downtown. It's like a barbecue / German sausage place. It's pretty good actually. And he's filmed a lot of his process building it so far, so here's what that looks like.
This part right here is supposed to be the restaurant. Over here will be the brewery. Back here is where we'll have the smokehouse for barbecue. And up here in the front and in the middle will be kind of like a walking path. So I wanted room for minifigures to walk by, and this will be where we could put tables, but it'll also kind of act as like a miniature town square. Here I decided I wanted to get really fancy with it and start working with some snot techniques so I could use those really big red warehouse looking pieces. Then I wanted to create a wooden texture here, so I took some brown masonry bricks and flipped them outwards so it kind of looks like lumber stacked on top of each other, and began working on the rest of the roof. I actually ran out of a lot of red bricks as well as a lot of black slope pieces for the roof, so future Ross can deal with that. At some point I wanted to populate the restaurant with like restaurant equipment, and instead of making my own equipment, I was really lazy and just raided Emily's friend sets and found this really cool kitchen set here that had a lot of cool kitchen gadgets. So I just stole those and put them into my restaurant.
Editing together that footage is the first time I realized that Ross was taking some accessories out of my little friend's kitchen back there, but that's fine. I think it's worth it. His MOC is looking really good. And once those two layers in the back of the city are starting to shape up, you know, once we have some more builds there, I think it's going to be really nice. Stay tuned though with the city updates, because I think we're going to try to do a winter village back there this year, but don't hold me to it. We'll see if it actually happens. But overall in the Lego City, I'm really happy with how things are shaping up. This whole front area is finally starting to look a little bit better, even though the ocean is not yet done. Hopefully we can place another order soon to finish that off. There's definitely a lot of things in the Lego City right now that are under construction, so hopefully by next city update you'll see these things starting to take shape a little bit more. If you enjoyed this Lego City update, make sure to subscribe down below because we do have a lot more coming. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.